Today on Beardo and Weirdo, we're being joined by my buddy, Richard Hunter. Yes, he has great stories about Sebastian Bach. Yes, he has great stories about Pantera. But the reason why he's here, it's Halloween. And he's the manager of the Haunted Museum. And these stories, no joke, are frightening.
Viewer discretion is advised.
Are we going to completely gloss over that his name is Dick Hunter?
He's a Dick Hunter.
Not one mention. Not one mention.
All right, this is going to be an easy one because it's Chris's favorite place. 4 years. If you ask Chris Kale from Five Finger Death Punch, I'm coming to Vegas. Where should I go? What should I do? Where should I hang out? Chris always had the same number one answer. And
deja vu.
And it scared me because your number one answer was always like, and then I started dating Darcy, and Darcy was like, I want to go to the Haunted Mansion. And I was like, or not the Haunted Mansion, the Haunted Museum. The Haunted Museum is the number one attraction. If you ask Chris Kale, what is there to do in Vegas? So for Halloween, we had to do this. We had to bring in Richard Hunter, my buddy, Richard Hunter from Dallas, Texas. That's where I met him. I don't know where you're from originally.
Fort Worth, Texas.
Fort Worth,
so right next door to it, yeah.
Nice.
So Richard Hunter joins us, the manager of the Haunted Museum. Zach Bagans.
Super stoked to have the place that I have been talking about for years. These guys, it is an annual pilgrimage for me every October.
Oh, really?
I go every single year. And you guys have a brand new exhibit every single year.
Yep.
And then there's people like me who are like, I don't know, man. And I went through it and I was like, that was actually really cool. There is some crazy shit in there, but it's really cool. How do you end up being a part of the Haunted Museum, Richard?
Well, my background's in radio. That's how Craig and I know each other.
Dude, we met in Dallas, Texas, in the middle of a bunch of outlaws. There's a music scene in Dallas when I first started performing in Dallas.
Pantera.
In the early 2000s.
Yeah.
Oh, and we'll get to that. He's got friendships with the guys in Pantera, but he's also got friendships with some unbelievably entertaining people. We'll get to that, but it's
I know him as well.
Yeah, it's Halloween.
Unbelievably entertaining people.
Present company included.
Yeah. So, but how do you get involved with
So with my background being in radio, I launched did a podcast for a number of years with former UFC heavyweight champion Frank Mir.
Okay.
So Frank and I did the podcast. And then while we were doing the podcast, the Haunted Museum opened in 2017.
Okay.
So right about then, it hadn't opened yet, but if you lived here in Vegas, you had started seeing these billboards go up about it. It was very mysterious.
Yeah.
That was part of the cool thing, was like, what's going on over at that creepy old mansion that hasn't been occupied in decades? And so Frank Mir, my co-host, was followed on Twitter. He and Zach Bagans followed each other. Zach Bagans, if you don't know, is from Ghost Adventures. Started out on Travel Channel. I mean, the number one paranormal investigation television show in history. Okay. In history. And now you can see it on HBO Max. But yeah, this is, I don't know how many seasons he's into. If he's not at 20, he's in the very high teens.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is his personal collection. He's going to open this museum, but we really didn't know that at the time. I didn't really know specifically what was happening with that. So Frank and Zach follow each other on Twitter. Zach's a fight fan. And he and Zach start talking on DMs, and they didn't really know each other. But Zach said, hey, why don't you come by the museum and I'll give you a private tour. We'll show you around, all this kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So I went with him. Now
that seems even scarier to go alone.
Yeah.
I mean, if you go into a haunted museum, though, you want Frank Mir as your guide.
That's true.
Heavyweight champion of the UFC.
Frank could beat up ghosts.
Yeah, and has beat up some. I think in his own life, but yeah. So they invited us over, and I went with him. And Zach showed us around, and I, like Chris, I mean, I was just, and this was before I ever even had an inkling I would work with him at all, or anything to do with the museum. I was just blown away by this place.
Dude, there's artifacts from serial killers.
Yeah.
There's the actual van that Jack Kevorkian killed people.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There's, I mean, what are the things that visitors most talk about when they leave?
Well, I think if they are into the world of the paranormal, and a lot of people are that come to the museum, they are interested in things like the Devil's Rocking Chair. So if you've seen any of the Conjuring movies, the Conjuring series, based on the real life paranormal investigations of Ed and Lorraine Warren. So this rocking chair was the focus of one of the real life cases they investigated. It's called The Devil Made Me Do It. And he has the actual rocking chair in the museum. That is a big one that people talk about. The Dybbuk Box is also another one. That's reputed to be the world's most haunted
object.
Yeah.
So when you go through the first time and get the private tour with Frank, are these items there?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing that caught, and maybe this speaks to kind of Chris's fascination with it, his experience is like when you go in this place, it's not just the items themselves, it's the presentation.
Yeah.
Because it's the sights, the sounds, scents in there. I mean, everything, all your senses are just overwhelmed.
At what point does part of the presentation include videos of people dropping and passing out?
Yeah.
On video?
The interesting thing, we have a lot of those now. Yeah. And that's a part of what I do there is actually pulling those videos.
So there's people that will come to the museum and they'll get so overwhelmed with fear that they drop. And it's all caught on security cameras. So then they drop and they go, by the way, last week, somebody almost died.
Yeah. They let you know right in the beginning, as soon as you get in the lobby.
Yeah.
Hey, this happens. They roll the video.
Yeah.
Like, oh, should I?
all the time. And it happens with such frequency that, like, I can tell you, I mean, I'll pull back the curtain a little bit. I've got a wheelchair in a closet on standby, ready to go. Wow. And there's a whole protocol in place. So if somebody drops, there's radio communication. Somebody's getting the chair. Somebody's making sure they got a vomit bag. And we're rolling out. Quick.
I would suggest for Zach, for that wheelchair, to pick up King Diamond's wheelchair from the Abigail tour.
Oh, yeah.
That would be awesome.
Oh, that's amazing. That's a great idea.
That would be the biggest mystery to Zach because he would have no idea why I was so excited about this wheelchair.
And why every time you sat in it, you go, Grandma!
Why do we have to have this one? We have to have this one.
By the way, a lot of people in the music industry. Have you had a lot of musicians come through?
Oh, yeah.
Come to town?
We get them all the time. Jonathan Davis from Korn is a frequent guest. He's actually donated an artifact to the museum.
Really?
Yeah, there is a doll on display at the museum that he personally turned over to Zach and said, this thing has cursed me and my family. I don't want it anywhere near me anymore.
Whoa.
Yeah. So we keep that there. Jonathan comes through a lot. Post Malone probably had the craziest experience in the museum.
Why?
Going back to the Dybbuk Box for a second.
Okay.
Zach he basically took him in after hours. So they're just kind of hanging out, right?
And what is the box?
I should go back. So the Dybbuk Box, let me give you a very brief overview, if I can. The Dybbuk Box was a box that was originally owned by a Holocaust survivor. Her name was Havila. And she trapped what she believed was a demonic spirit inside the box. It was called a Dybbuk, and closed it up. Well, the box was then sold at her estate sale by her granddaughter many decades later, and it had two owners before Zach. One of those owners gave that box, it looks like a little wine cabinet. It looks pretty cool. It looks like something you'd see in an antique shop. It'd be cool to have around the house. One of those owners got it and gave it to his mother as a gift. She opened the box.
Hated his mother.
Well, apparently. She opened the box and immediately had a stroke. And had,
not of good luck.
Yeah, no. End of sentence. I was actually finished. I wasn't. Yeah. Stroke, period. But
Chris Kale, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
So see him at the Funny Bone.
So the box is housed inside its own room. And you have a choice when you go in the museum. It's got like an antechamber that you enter first. And you have a choice. After you see that presentation about it, and Zach tells you the whole story, including the Post Malone part that I'm going to get to in a second, but whether or not you want to go in. And there's many times that tours, half the people don't go. They don't want to go in. They don't want to go see that. The Post Malone story, Zach took him in there. It's covered with a big glass case. Zach took the glass off of it.
Oh, my God.
And put his hand on top of the glass.
Zach
or on top of the Dybbuk box. Yeah, just placed it on top of the Dybbuk box. Right about that time, and you see all this in the video, Post reaches over, and so if he's Zach, he reaches over and he puts his hand on Zach's shoulder, like to kind of get him out. And when he does, Zach sort of pulls away real quick, right? Like something just shot through his body. And Post told Zach later on, he said he saw something, happen. So he felt something happen in the room. So in the 2 weeks, I think, that followed, he was the target of a home invasion. He was in a near fatal plane crash, which that was big news. If you remember, they were having to fly his plane around, dump all the fuel and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And he was targeted a home invasion and had almost had that near fatal plane crash. And he swears, we played this clip where he's talking about it on Joe Rogan. He swears he's like, that thing, like, that's the real deal.
And the most impressive thing to me, too, out of that whole experience, he walked into that room without any of those face tattoos.
Right.
That was a result of the Dybbuk box. All those face tattoos there.
It's a genuinely scary place, man. Like it's
and that's the number one thing I would try to maybe explain to someone if, especially it's Halloween, everybody's going to haunted houses, all that kind of stuff, which is cool. It's what we all like to do. But this is the real deal. So it's like, if you want to, every year you go through the plywood maze and the scare actors jump out at you and all that kind of stuff, and that's fun and that's cool. But if you really want to get heavy into this, like you really want to, your Dio and your Sabbath, but let me turn you on to some crowbar.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Here's some deicide.
So this is that. It is a 100-year-old historic mansion. This is a real house. This is not like something he built for this occasion.
And the building itself is an incredible building. I mean, it just walks. You walk up to this thing and it's like, there's a vibe here. Even before you get into the building, it's just like, oh, incredible.
I've never asked you this, Chris, but because you've been promoting this just on your own.
Every person asked me, what do I do in Vegas? Zach Bagans Haunted Museum, top of the list.
So many years you've been doing that. What is your favorite part of that museum?
Man, I think that I would have to say,
when you bring people in there,
there is a room in there, and actually this works out well because there's a brand new series on Netflix right now featuring Charlie Hunnam, I believe is his name, from
Sons of
Anarchy, about Ed Gein.
Oh, okay.
The Ed Gein room is just like, oh my God.
So we have, if people are not familiar with Ed Gein, he was, by a lot of accounts, kind of one of the first serial killers. He was the real life inspiration for Psycho, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Silence of the Lambs. He was the guy in the 1950s in Plainfield, Wisconsin, that was digging up bodies of freshly buried women and skinning them and making outfits out of their skin and dancing around.
Slayer's Dead Skin Mask.
Yeah. That's
about Ed Gein.
Yeah.
Hello, Mr. Gein.
We have a room. So he was doing all this in his barn, and he would hang these women up like by their feet and dress them like deer. And then all the entrails and everything would go in this big cauldron.
Not dress them up like deer.
Oh my God.
Cutting skin off, peeling, taking the meat like deer, dressing deer.
Yes. So he had this giant.
I just lost a chunk of the audience.
This wasn't a furry. Now. This was not a furry convention.
Yeah.
This was the real deal.
Well, you lost it. Okay. So you got so there's this giant cauldron, this cast iron cauldron, and he's draining. So he's got them hanging up by their ankles, and he's draining, all of their fluids into this cauldron. We have the cauldron.
What kind of warning do we put on this video when we put this out? We got to have some kind of notification of like,
But
Put a disclaimer. At the front.
a big disclaimer up front.
But the cauldron, and this is, I feel like where our signature comes in at the Haunted Museum. The cauldron is in a barn that was, when you walk in there, you feel like you're walking into a barn in the 1950s in Plainfield, Wisconsin.
Yeah.
And this stuff was all done by a professional set designer and all that sort of thing. So while there is no acting, nothing is staged, nothing is fabricated inside the museum, the articles are 100% genuine. The staging of it, the set is made, whatever the story behind the artifact may be, the room that you walk into is made to feel like you're in that place. You've been transported in time. So you go from, in fact, Jack Kevorkian's doctor's office is right next door to Ed Gein's cauldron. So when you're in Jack Kevorkian's doctor's office, you feel like you've stepped into a doctor's office from the 1980s, with the fluorescent light, the bad light, and all that.
Yeah.
And then you go right next door, and now all of a sudden you're back to the 1950s and 75 years ago in Wisconsin in Ed Gein's barn.
How often do you see people walking out of there genuinely upset?
Daily.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, now, not upset that they had a bad time.
Right.
I don't mean that.
Yeah.
But
Affected.
Affected. That's
Affected.
it. That's it. Affected. And so, affected can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. I mean, rarely does somebody come out and just go, huh. I mean, usually it's like, whoa, to one degree or another of whoa.
Yeah.
And then, but then daily, at least semi-daily, you get the people that can't finish the tour. The other one we get sometimes is people just want to go outside and sit down for a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or people come out affected like me. It's like, dude, you gotta go.
Yeah.
You gotta check this out. I know Vegas has got all kinds of stuff, but this is different. You have to do this.
Do you get more traffic this time of year for Halloween?
Yeah, 100%. This is like working at the mall at Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the season. Absolutely.
Is there a slow time or it's pretty?
Not really.
No.
I mean, there's, a week here, a week there. Kids go back to school after spring break. That sort of thing kind of follows the Vegas tourism,
Right.
Ebb and flow. But not really. I mean, that's kind of the cool thing is that over the 8 years the Haunted Museum's been there, it has proven that it can be a year-round attraction.
I have to believe you have a good answer to this question. And I always like to ask people, whether it's Chris, who's a rock star, whether it's a flight attendant for an airline, I always like to ask people, what is the dumbest question you get regularly about your job?
I would think maybe if anybody would think that somehow the entire thing is made up. And what I mean by this, not just, okay, that place is haunted, but if they've actually seen it, they've actually experienced the whole tour, and they think that somehow this whole thing is some sort of simulation, including the mother of four from, Elkhart, Indiana, who's bawling outside that I'm trying to calm down, that she's seen something, she felt something scratch her.
They think that's
she wanted to go.
that's
like
staged.
it's part of it, So I would say maybe somebody like that who I would be like, you think all of this is, we're all in on it and you're the mark? Yeah.
Is there anything that when you first started working there creeped you out and that you had to adjust to, or?
Well, for me, the things that affect me, I'm into the historical items.
Mm-hmm.
I'm interested in, this goes into my personal life too. I got weird stuff at home. I'll tell you.
Yeah,
about
he
later.
does. He does.
But
Richard.
I've told you about some of that.
Yeah.
But anything that's like what I refer to as game used. Anything that was at the scene. And that's why I think things like, like what you do with your basses, for example, are so cool. Like, stage played bass, there's a way a fan can get it, that kind of thing. That's a happy light thing. But anything that's kind of was at the scene, was witness to it, that's heavy to me.
And you have so many things that were actual artifacts from people that were famous serial killers, people.
Yeah, and showbiz too. Like, a lot of the Hollywood stuff is interesting to me. Like we have We have Sharon Tate's wedding dress, for example, that hangs in there, which was in her house at the time
when she was murdered by the Manson.
All of that. We have the chair that was sitting next to Michael Jackson's bed that he died in. And this was the chair that Dr. Conrad Murray sat in when he gave him the propofol.
Do I remember that there's also prescription bottles of his there as well?
Yeah, we have some of those.
Yeah.
We have some of those.
Do you ever hear from people, because I'm sure you probably have people that come in to visit the museum who say they have a connection to certain items.
Yes.
That they have a personal connection.
Mhm.
Do you ever hear from people who are family members of the victims of these serial killers? I just wanted to come and see this.
Well, yeah, we have had John Wayne Gacy's stepdaughter has been to the museum. I know. In fact, some of our items have come from her we had some before she came. If that makes sense. So like we had some, she saw some of what we had and then contributed some others, like some things like that. Yeah, I mean, we have had that. So it's, it's heavy stuff. It's reverent stuff, but it's like death is a part of life kind of thing.
Yeah, Zach always seems to make the news when he acquires a new thing. What was the thing he was like in the last year? He made the news for acquiring.
There's probably been several times.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Dude is always out getting stuff.
Well, he made big news when he acquired the James Dean transaxle, which was the only piece of the car that is known to still exist that killed James Dean.
Yeah,
that's just a massive piece of steel, all intact. Actually, I mean, it looks like we see where the wheels of the car go on and all that sort of thing. I think the reason for that, Craig, is that Zach not only has the funds to acquire it and the place to house it and to exhibit it and all that, but he's got the ability to tell the story about it, So
through the museum, you mean, like through this is a place?
Yeah, and his voice, his show, I think he's got a way to kind of breathe life into those items in a weird way of saying it.
It's crazy because Richard and I knew each other years ago when I first started doing shows in Dallas, and I started meeting all these colorful characters down in Dallas in the early 2000s. And I would see Richard. I have vague memories of it because I was just so hammered every time I went out there. But
that makes one of us.
Yeah. But I know you were friends with the guys in Pantera. You have a lot of friends. It's a whole different world in Texas. Do you like living in Vegas more than Texas?
I don't know if it's, I mean, I do right now at this time in my life. Like, I didn't mind Texas, but I also don't miss it in favor of Las Vegas because I'm a Vegas guy. This is perfect for me, the way this
Vegas is the greatest city. It's just small enough that it's easy to get around, and it's got everything here. Everything you need is here.
And once a week, everyone leaves.
Yeah, true.
And new people show up.
People show up, yeah.
Indeed.
But there's
new experiences for everybody.
My first time in Texas doing shows down there, I came across this guy who was a total character named Russ Martin.
Oh, yeah. I worked with him.
Russ Martin was the Howard Stern of Dallas. I might have told you the story. My first time in Dallas, I book a show so that I can be there when the Cowboys are going to play on Thanksgiving. Right. I'm like, man, I want to watch the Cowboys actually, instead of watching at home with the family, I want to be at the Thanksgiving football game. So I book a show that weekend to perform at the Improv. And I get into town and I do a radio show called Pugs and Kelly, really popular local show in town. They came on after Howard Stern on the Howard Stern affiliate. I walk out of the studio and there's this very attractive girl. She goes, hey, welcome to Dallas. And I go, hey, what's your name? We start talking. And she goes, so what are you going to do while you're in town? And I said, I'm going to the Cowboys game. I actually booked the show, so I go to the Cowboys game. She goes, do you already have a ticket? And I go, no, but I mean, how hard is it to get a ticket? She goes, well, I got an extra one. You want to come with me? And I was like, sure. And she's like, all right, I'll give you my phone number. She's a sales girl at the radio station. So we exchanged phone numbers. And I'm like, wow, that was cool. Attractive girl. And go about my day. And I'm driving around my rental car. And I have the radio on low. It was set on the station that I was on earlier, and I heard my name, Craig Gass, and I was like, what? And I turned it up, and I was like, so who is this guy anyway? And they go, I think he works for Howard Stern, boss. I was like, so he's a comedian? Is that what he is? Like, yeah. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? He goes, all right, so here's what happened. My girlfriend hit on this guy, Craig Gass, in front of everybody at the radio station and just threw herself at him to get him to go to the Cowboys game and is giving her extra ticket to this guy, Craig Gass. And I had announced that morning on the radio, I was looking for something to do while I was in Dallas early, and a bar had offered for me to perform at, there's like an area town where it was like a big music scene. What is that?
Deep Ellum?
Yes.
Deep Ellum, yeah. And they said, hey, man, we got a bar. You can perform here. And I said, well, do you have a stage? And the response was, we got a couch. And it was so funny that I said,
Do you have to audition?
I go, oh.
Is that what that was?
I go, I'll perform on a couch. So the plan was, I'm going to go to this bar. I'm going to stand on the couch. And I'm going to do a comedy set for whoever wants to come hang out with me.
Okay.
So that comes up on this guy, Russ Martin's show. And someone goes, he's apparently going to be at that bar in Deep Ellum tonight doing stand-up. I'll bet she's going to be there too.
On the couch.
And people start
auditioning.
And people start trying to figure out how, like, what should they do to mess with me? And they're like, hey, you know what you should do, boss? And he goes, no. He goes, you know what I'm going to do? He goes, I'm good friends with, and I can't remember the name of the guy, the host of Cheaters. Cheaters.
Oh, Tommy Grand.
Tommy Grand. Cheaters was filmed. It was based out of Texas, based out of Dallas, Fort Worth. And he said, I'm going to have Tommy Grand go investigate on my behalf.
Nice.
And that night, I show up at the bar. Tommy Grand walks up to me right to my face and goes, are you Craig Gass? And I go,
did you know him?
I watched Cheaters late at night in hotel rooms, like around the country.
Please not this episode. Please not this episode. Please not this one.
He walks up and I go, hey, what's up? And he goes, hey man, I'm the host of Cheaters. And I go, yeah. And he goes, welcome to Dallas. And I'm like, yeah. And then I saw the girl and I was like, what the fuck? And she goes, I am so sorry. I am not dating Russ Martin. I don't know why he said I'm his girlfriend. I went out with him once. I'm not his girl. And I go, look, you got me in a shitload of trouble. The fucking host of Cheaters is here. She goes, I'm sorry. That was my introduction to Dallas, Texas, was insanity.
I like it.
And somewhere in the middle of it, I ran into Richard. And then as the years went on and I started to whittle down who I wanted to hang out with in Dallas, Richard always was like the guy I wanted to hang out with. He was always just this easygoing dude that was just, and dude, Richard is so connected. I mean, my God, besides the guys in, like, who do you become friends with first in Pantera in that town? Well,
I knew Dime some, but I really had more time to know Vinny, over the years.
Yeah.
But, those guys grew up in, Arlington is between Fort Worth and Dallas.
Yep.
I'm old enough that Pantera was playing it. Didn't I just listen to an episode where you guys were talking about where the first time was you saw Pantera? I just heard that like a week or two ago, I'm sure.
We talked about run-ins with Pantera, and then Chris, of course, has a great story about going to visit the graves. And
I'm old enough that I think the first time I ever saw Pantera was at Joe's Garage, which was in Fort Worth. It was like this little, club and everything.
Was that pre-Cowboys from Hell or?
Pre and probably during still, but definitely pre.
Nice.
Yeah. And they, the great thing about them was no matter how big they got, they never left Arlington. Vinny had the house and, that, and then Dimebag's place was in Arlington. There was a little small area called Dalworthington Gardens. And if you ever went there, this place was like, I remember when I walked in there, I remember thinking, this is what it looks like if some parents that had a pretty nice house abandoned their teenager and TPS didn't find out for about 18 months.
Yeah.
Because it was like Christmas lights all over the place.
Kiss posters.
Yep.
Kiss posters.
Van Halen.
Yeah, Ace Frehley, who had been to the house, had drawn caricatures of himself like on the kitchen wall.
No way.
And those just stayed. There were 2 Kiss pinball machines in the living room.
No
and what
way.
I always appreciated about
before they had money to spend. This is like they're still.
Yeah, well, now they're starting to get money.
Okay.
This is the story I'm telling you now. The house he was in then, he'd gotten some money.
Gotcha. Okay.
But the thing that made it for me was that there were 2 Kiss pinball machines in the living room. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
the old one and the new one, or 2 old ones?
I think they were both old ones.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I think they were. But it was this party house. And but it was just as you would expect if, like I said, a teenager had been left to their own devices. And he also had the studio back behind the house, which was where they did Southern Trendkill, and they did some other recordings too, but I know that record was made there, I think.
I know that you worked at a couple strip clubs in Dallas. Did you ever work at their strip club?
I didn't work there. I was just in it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, their strip club is an interesting story.
Okay.
So they owned a strip club called the Clubhouse.
Yes.
I never understood the concept of this place. For as many times as I was in it, it was so there was a story that Vinny and Dimebag had decided they wanted to, I think, own a golf course. They wanted to have their own golf course. Again. Well, hillbillies with new money.
I was going to say that is the most absurd desire.
Yeah, because it does sound like the kind of thing where, we make our first couple of million, we go, we could buy a golf course.
Yes.
Like having no idea how much money you would have to operate a golf course.
Texas gold.
So I think they quickly figured out that they couldn't have the golf course, but what they really wanted was a strip club on the 18th hole as the clubhouse.
Okay.
So they were like, well, we'll just do that part.
Really?
But this clubhouse, it had for no apparent reason, if you didn't know that backstory that I just told you, like these pencil drawings of like Craig Stadler and Jack Nicklaus on the wall. Like,
that's funny.
Like legit PGA golfers, but it was an all nude place,
Yeah.
which meant it had to be BYOB in Texas, which meant all these everybody's table just had like these giant Coors cartons of beer that they'd carried in themselves.
Wow.
And in fact, I saw Damage Plan played there one night. Yeah, just on the little strip stage.
Wow.
I mean, it wasn't that little, but it was small for a rock band. They played there one night, and every time you're in there, it also always had the feeling like, you ever go to like a party at one of your friends' houses when you were a kid, and because their parents were out of town, but you just always, it had that feeling, and it felt like the parents could come home at any point. Like it felt like all this shouldn't be going on.
Yeah, I love it.
I think there's just something about you that people gravitate towards. Like, I think that you're just an easy person to get along with. Like you have that story about Sebastian Bach where you just ran it. Where did you run into Sebastian Bach? And then he let you like drive him to his house, and then he just hung, and then you guys played with like his pistols.
So this just happened.
Okay.
This is, I mean, within the last 18 months or 2 years, maybe.
Okay.
So, we went to DJ Ashba's birthday party. You guys know Ashba?
Yeah, and he has a big bash every year.
Yeah.
That was it. The one where the ping pong balls happened.
Well, there was a similar incident. This might have been the ping pong. Yeah.
It was like a girl was shooting stuff out.
Well, yeah, and when you asked me, I had to think for a second because that wasn't the most offensive thing she did.
Really?
Yeah. But yeah, I believe it was that one.
Can you describe in vague terms what it is she did that was so offensive?
Well, I'll tell you this: as a vegan, it was her careless use of aquatic life.
Yeah, she was reliving an old Led Zeppelin story.
Yeah,
I was so bummed out when I heard about. I heard about this from multiple friends who were there. I was on the road when it happened, and I'm like, "Oh man, I wanted to be there when that happened."
Well, I'll tell you the worst part about it is the whole thing smelled like fish. My girlfriend's laughing over there. She was standing right next to me.
Why do our videos have 95% male viewers?
This episode brought to you by Long John Silver's.
That woman walked right by us after her performance, and she reeked of fish.
So anyways, night you run into Sebastian.
Yeah, okay, so here's what happened. So we go into the party.
Dude, did you see the fish? What the fuck? Did you smell that? Whoa, dude. Oh my God, it smells like tuna. What the fuck?
Suddenly I'm in the mood for hush puppies.
So we go to the party, DJ's birthday party, and it's a big crowd. It's a lot of people there, and saw a lot of people I knew and all that sort of thing. I actually, though, had never met Sebastian.
Okay.
And So I saw you don't miss him in a room because he's a foot taller than everybody else.
He's 6'8", 6'6".
Yeah, and never quiet.
Never quiet.
Never quiet.
Yeah. So you notice
he's like
him
he's like a big kid.
Yeah, so you notice him immediately, and we walked in, and my girlfriend Jennifer and I are looking around. We seen some folks we know. We look over. Hey, is that Sebastian Bach? Yeah, and so I wasn't gonna just go up and insert myself into whatever conversation he was having, but in the back of my mind, I thought, because I do know that he's a huge Kiss fan.
Yes,
and I'm a huge Kiss fan. And he collects Kiss, and I collect Kiss.
It's what bonded me with Sebastian. First time we became friends. It was on stage at the 9/11 benefit show that Eddie Trunk had put together, and Sebastian had performed on it. And I go, "Hey, my name's Craig. I know who the fuck you are, dude. I love Kiss." And then we just started talking about Kiss.
It brings people together. And so in the back of my mind, I thought, well, if at some point, as everybody's mixing and mingling or whatever, if I do find myself in a conversation with him,
jump into Kiss,
get Kiss started and see where that goes, right?
Absolutely.
So
I get that.
So we go through the whole party, the whole night, whatever. We never really have that occasion to have that happen.
Okay.
So don't have a conversation with him. So we're getting ready to leave. We thought he had already left. We're getting ready to leave. We walk outside and we see him, and he's on the phone, apparently talking to an Uber driver who can't find him.
Okay.
And he's trying, no, I told you it's the left and then the right, and it's right off here off of whatever the main street is.
Where are you, dude? What the fuck? I'm behind the words. Follow the fish smell.
Sorry.
That's a good callback.
Dude, you can smell it from down the block. I'm right here. I'm trying to get home, dude. What the fuck, man?
Right. I
love bingo.
That's a reference to one of my stories. I still want to play bingo with you at some point, by the way. Which I think I'm going to have a fun time playing bingo with. There's a group of us. We want Sebastian to join us.
So we stand in there. He's frustrated. He can't get his ride home.
The fuck?
And I look to my girlfriend Jennifer, and I said, "Should we? You want to offer him a ride home?" And she goes, "Yeah, all right." And now I would never do. Here's my thinking. We had a mutual friend in DJ Ashba.
Yeah.
So I wasn't a totally unknown quantity that I was at this party.
And you've already been introduced to him.
No.
Oh,
never
okay.
met him.
Okay.
No, he's just in the back. I'm going to ask him about Gene Simmons.
About Gene Simmons, about Paul Stanley.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to find out about Youth Gone Wild.
Yeah.
So we didn't really get our chance to talk.
But you're leaving the same party.
Yeah. And I see him over there on the phone, and I just kind of walk over. I go, "Hey, dude, you need a ride? We're headed out." And he hesitates for 1 second. He's on his phone. He goes, "Yeah, okay, yeah." And next thing I know, he's following us to our car.
Mm-hmm.
So,
all right.
So he folds himself up in my Prius.
I was going to ask.
Oh my God, a Prius.
Yeah.
Sebastian, I'm sorry you had to go through this.
Yeah. In fact, I remember we walked by something, like some Ferrari or something. And he goes, "Is this your car?" And I go,
"Come on,
dude, is this your car? What the fuck?"
No, we keep going. And
is this piece of shit over here?
So we get in the car. Jennifer gets in the back because Sebastian's so tall, and so pulls himself up. So now,
by the way, at this moment, I just want to point out, Sebastian is the most social person.
Mm-hmm.
I love this about him, that he'll just, like, when the idea came up about bingo, he was like, "I fucking love bingo." And I go,
yeah.
I don't think there's anybody who doesn't like, I love that about him. So
even now, Sebastian, every week,
dude,
yeah,
yoga 10:30 in the morning. Who's coming?
It's
every week.
It's almost like Sebastian doesn't realize he's famous. You know what I mean? He's just like an easygoing, like he just like can hang out with anybody and just if the subject is something he's into the conversation.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And so we get in the car, start talking. We had a good ways to drive. It was not close where we were going to his house. And so we had a good long ways to drive.
Can we put that address up on the screen?
Yeah.
And
with the pictures of me and Chris in our wigs at his house, Afro wigs with the fake cocaine in our nose. Look at that other episode.
We did a Halloween episode on that.
Yeah.
We start talking, and first thing was, he asked me where I was from. I told him Fort Worth, Texas. Immediately, we start talking about this old rock club, Savvy's,
nice.
that he had played there before he was in Skid Row with Madam X.
Madam X.
Yeah.
Whoa.
And it's as a kid at Sav. The thing about knowing Savvy's, if you were from Fort Worth, is they would let underage people in, but you could only go up to a balcony, and then there was chicken wire, and you had to just stand at the chicken wire and look down. So he remembered all that. We're talking about all that.
It's like that old Scorpions video.
Yeah.
Oh
exactly.
Yeah.
So now Kiss gets brought up, and we're off and running.
Yeah.
I mean, there is no turning back, right? So we're talking about we're both we both follow this page on Instagram called Nights in Satan Service.
I did a video for John for his Nights in
Yes.
Service.
Yeah. We were just there 2 months ago at his house looking at all that stuff. It was insane. But anyway,
so now the bonding is happening.
Yeah, we're talking about all our Kiss collections, everything. So get to his house, we pull up, and we pull up. And now first, two things you need to know. One, it's 2:15 in the morning. Two, his wife didn't leave with him. She stayed at the party. She had some friends or something. So she's going to be coming home.
Okay.
She just isn't home yet.
All right.
So we pull up in front of the house, 2:15 in the morning, and he looks at me and he goes, I never do this. He goes, but you guys seem cool. He goes, you want to come in and see all my Kiss stuff?
Yes. Sebastian, you are the man.
So like, yeah. So,
dude, we're fucking cool. Come on in, man.
So
let's wait till my wife gets home. We'll just fucking, she's cool. She's cool. Dude, come on.
So we walk.
By the way, Sebastian has an unbelievable collection. Like a surreal collection. So anyways, I'm sorry.
If you are and we call ourselves a coin era collectors, right?
Yes.
So we're interested in the vintage era of Kiss collectibles from 73 to 83, basically is what you're looking
childhood,
at.
basically.
Yeah. And so when you see one of those collections, you know what you're looking at. Right. And you walk in, the first things he's got are the gargoyles that Gene had on stage for the Dynasty tour. He's got them in his entryway. He'd somehow got stage props.
Not the actual gargoyles?
Yeah.
Really?
He's got some of the actual stage props from Gene's side.
I don't know if I saw that.
Dynasty.
Okay.
And then you turn right, and it's just these glass display cases like we have in the museum.
Yep.
I mean, of all of these very, very rare
And he's giving you a tour.
artifacts. Yeah.
He's
And he's
giving
like,
you
I
a
got
tour.
this and I got that, and look, check out that. And he's pulling things out, right?
Yes.
So next thing you know, it's we're playing with stuff, and he's offering drinks and all this kind of thing.
You guys hungry?
Yeah. And
it's 2:00 in the morning. You
well,
get
now it's now it's later. Now it's 3.
all right. So
and-
is part of you going oh man, I know the wife's coming home soon. We probably
All of me is doing it. That's the thing, is that because
he's become the consummate host now. Sebastian.
Mom is coming home soon.
Yeah. No, I'm really good about not knowing, not wearing out my welcome or reading a room or something like that.
Right.
And I realize that I'm still the stranger. We are, both of us are.
But
that
he's
invited
still
over.
wide open to
Yeah,
it.
he's showing us this, showing us that. But in the back of my mind, I'm thinking sooner or later his wife's going to come home and she's going to find these two random strangers at 3 a.m. going through this Kiss collection
that she might have seen at the party earlier.
Maybe.
Yeah. And she's probably been drinking a little bit at 3:00 in the morning. It's like,
yeah, true.
When did you run into Chris Angel?
Right. Well played.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. Be playing Cincinnati, October 17th, New Zealand, Australia. Let's go.
And that conversation between the two of them would be just enough to distract her for us to get out the door.
Right,
yeah,
right.
Exactly.
So how late does it go before his wife gets home?
Well, we left before she got home.
Okay.
Because of that.
You just felt
I was just kind of wary of let's leave while it feels like,
By the way, great move, Richard. Great move.
Absolutely.
To
Now,
walk out before he's asked to leave.
and like for those who don't know Sebastian Bach, we hear all the stories about how wild the man is, all this other stuff.
Yep.
Were you as surprised as I was at how like organized his collections are?
Oh, yeah.
All alphabetized. I mean, the dude has an incredible vinyl collection, all alphabetized, and just like it's crazy the amount of attention of detail. He's got all these thoughts going on all the time.
Yep.
But when it comes to that, it is
Yep.
I would
focused and
consider him like to work at the museum.
Yes.
You know what I mean? If we were
Absolutely.
needing somebody to
Absolutely.
organize things.
He's a fan of pop culture like we all are. There's a few people out there that are like that. Corey Taylor is another person like that who's a super fan of pop culture and is still a fan the same way Sebastian is. And so, but making that move,
Ed Gein, also a very avid collector. Yep, very organized,
but being
meticulous.
able to step out before he says, "Hey, I gotta wind down," is the perfect way to leave a first impression on someone.
You have to, and
Yeah.
especially if it's not somebody you. Yeah, if it's not somebody you know.
Did you exchange phone numbers?
I don't. Do you remember? I don't even. I don't think I got his number. I have run into him again since then.
Okay, he remembers from that.
Yeah. But actually, I don't think we got a number.
Have you invited him to the museum?
Yes, I have. He is not. He's not been, but
Is he interested in going? Or?
I did. He seemed interested.
Yep.
Yes.
Sebastian,
Yes.
go to the museum. It's amazing, and obviously Richard's gonna hook you up for it.
Absolutely.
And
When I go to see him on Sunday at Hot Yoga,
Yeah.
I'm gonna hit him up. But
Hit
hey, man, I just had an interview with Richard over at the museum. Come with me. So you might have me and Sebastian Bach both going in,
Mention
checking out
it.
the
Dude, and
at
it's
the
not
museum at the
just
same time.
Sebastian. He's got there's two really interesting people of note. Richard was friends with Rick James.
Woo!
Oh, yes, yes.
How do you get
Speaking
to
of
know-
couches,
How do you get to know Rick James?
So Rick, I knew really well, and the way I got to know Rick was through radio. And
I was hoping it was going to be crack cocaine.
no,
The way I
no,
got to know him was crack.
Listen, the reason I was allowed to continue to be around Rick was not because of crack cocaine.
Okay.
It's because you're not on. Because,
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I'm everybody's most responsible friend.
he
And-
is the sober driver home.
Yes.
He is.
Yes, I love that.
You were
No-
never a drug guy?
Never. Not one time in my life. In fact, I've never had alcohol.
Woo!
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah. And
Man, I'm looking back at years of hanging out with Richard and feeling embarrassed right now. I'm like, yeah, man, you do this, right?
Yeah.
Oh, you don't? All right, cool, man.
Yeah.
Like,
Meanwhile, I'm going, oh, I'm so glad I met him once I was sober.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, it was really because of band, like being in bands and just seeing a lot of, because I always played in bands with guys who were older than me, and I saw so many talented guys. And I thought, if you're that talented and that's gotten in your way,
Ooh.
this is a hard enough thing that we're wanting to do.
Yeah.
So I don't want to like make it harder,
Yeah.
And also, I have a personality where I go 100 miles an hour. Anything I do.
Yeah, you're very lucky that you don't have that DNA because Chris and I do. And
Yeah.
we paid the price for it, but now obviously
No,
we're both
see,
sober. So.
But see, the thing is, I don't. I relate to it because I would do that. So,
Right.
like you were talking about that Ed Gein series, we haven't watched it yet. I'll watch it in one sitting.
Same.
Yeah.
Exact same thing.
Yeah, it's my birthday. There's a birthday cake. I'm probably eat the whole thing
Absolutely.
if you don't stop me. Like I'm
Absolutely.
just that. So, and it's great for a work ethic. Like it's great if you channel it towards something positive, but bad for substances. So
Rick James, was he a funny guy?
yes, very. So what happened with Rick was I had my radio show, and this was before podcasting. I had a terrestrial radio show for 12 years, something like that. And I had this, and I never meant to get into that line of work. So when I
Really?
did,
That's how I met you.
it was, but a program director at a radio station, it's called The Ticket in Dallas, gave me my own show.
Was it Gavin?
No, I worked for Gavin, but this was before. It was a guy named Bruce Gilbert.
Okay.
And he gave me my own show. I remember when he gave it to me because I was like, what?
Mhm.
Like, it never even occurred to me to do that. And he goes, yeah. And I go, well, what am I going to talk about? Because it was a sports format.
I was going to say, he
station.
didn't put you on the ticket, did he?
Yes.
He put you on the ticket?
Yes.
That's
And
a
it was-
massive sports station.
Really?
Yeah,
Nice.
it was a sports station. And
That's how out of it I was at that time. I had no idea that I was joining you at a sports station.
yeah. And I said, well, what are we going to,
Wow.
I said, well, what am I going to talk about? And he goes, just anything. He goes, just, your life. He goes, your life's interesting.
Agreed.
That sort of thing. And so I sat down and I told the guy that's producing my show, I had a great producer. And I said, there are these colorful characters in the world, and I just want to try to pull them in. I want to have them as guests, but if they click with us, I want them to kind of become family members.
Which is, I understand the concept. How do you get Rick James to show up?
It wasn't that easy back then because there was no, I guess it was the very beginning days of the internet. People had MySpace pages or whatever, but it wasn't like, it's just easy to figure out who everybody's rep is or DM them directly or whatever. Some of them were harder than others. And, some of the people that are on my list, like Rick, who was performing still, and he had kind of a resurrection with all that Dave Chappelle and all that. It's not like he had an office somewhere where, you called it up on Wilshire Boulevard or whatever. So my producer was a good investigator and just kind of dug until he found a contact or somebody who knew a guy or something like that. Wow. We ended up getting Rick to call into the show. It started with some call-ins. Oh, wow, and then I would take the show out to L.A., and when I took it out to L.A., I did a broadcast from my hotel room, which was not as easy as it sounds. Nowadays, anybody can do that. Yeah. But back then, it was complicated. You need like the specially dedicated phone line and all this kind of stuff. So,
by the way, it's already tainted when you have stories about Rick James coming to your hotel room.
Indeed. Yeah. But we brought him, he showed up and we brought him into the room, and I had a round table like this. And I had invited some other celebrities, musicians, athletes, things like that. People that were call-ins in Dallas that I was like, well, let's get face-to-face. Nice. Now I'm in your city, so we'll bring them around. And the concept was, I called it my LA house party. The concept was the round table was this odd collection of folks, many of whom didn't know each other. We're going to have a round table discussion just like we're having. This could have happened on the show. Rock musician Chris Cale from Five Finger, Craig Gass, comedian, and maybe you guys didn't know each other.
I remember doing shows like that with
you. Exactly. So
not just in the station, but also at a warehouse at one point. I remember being at some there was like musicians jamming. There was like vague memories. A lot of cocaine.
So Rick started doing those. With
cocaine
jams.
The shows. The shows. So now he's done these in-person shows with us. But then he started calling me at home, like on my cell, like late at night, like just wanting to talk, like that.
No shit.
And Rick James needed a friend.
Yeah.
Was he a lonely person?
Yes. And he had a few people that were trustworthy around him. But the thing with Rick was, I think, one, he knew that I was completely stone cold sober.
Right.
Rick wanted to be sober, I think, but it was Rick could stay sober exactly as long as the person who's the good influence in the room is in the room with him. Right. And then when the bad influence person shows up, it's all over. And that could happen on the turn of a dime. So I would have these late night conversations with him. And I remember he would call and he would say, I had a girlfriend at the time. We'd been together a long time, and he was always like, but by this time he has started to sound, his speaking voice is like Fred Sanford, kind of. That's what you have to imagine.
Really?
Fred Sanford, but still with all the braids and the leather and always in costume.
Hey, you big dummy.
Yeah, but he would call me up and say, now I need to know when you are getting married finally, because I'm going to be singing at your wedding. And my schedule, as you know, is very busy. There's a lot of that kind of stuff.
Was it busy?
Kinda, not really. But he was always a great guest.
Somehow just always running around.
Yeah.
What was your favorite memory of Rick, or funniest moment with Rick?
There was a couple of times. There was one, I remember he had locked himself out of his car, and he had called me. And
which is crazy because normally he would have keys in his pockets all the time. Yeah. Very weird for Rick James not to have his keys on him.
He had locked himself out of his car, and I remember he called me, and I said, "Well, Rick, I'm like on the air. You just called to talk, right?" Yeah. And I'm like, "Well, I'm actually on the air right now, so why don't I just?"
Isn't that great to be listening to the Richard Hunter show in Dallas, and like, "All right, caller, you're on the air. I locked my keys in my car. Come help me out, Richard. Yep. I'm in the middle of a show right now." You got my keys.
But I said, well, why don't I just put you on the air? Because, we can talk. He goes, okay. He goes, but don't tell your listeners that I'm locked out of my car. That was funny. And then there was another time. In fact, one of the pictures I sent you is of this night. So the one where we're sitting on the couch together. Okay. I can tell you exactly.
Is it the couch?
Yeah, it was Craig's couch that he later performed on.
Rick James.
Oh, no.
Yo, couch.
Yeah.
Yo, couch.
No.
Okay.
But we're sitting on a couch together. It was after a show he did.
Okay.
And we're in a room like this that has one door. And he had just a little backstory. He had a very protective bodyguard named Patrick, who was a great guy, really always looked out for Rick, who upon initially meeting me was very suspicious of me because he assumed I was a new drug connection, But after he found out what the real deal was, he wanted me as close to him as possible all the time because that was helpful. So we go into this like green room, and like I said, it's just one door, and Patrick has sort of screened everybody in the room, and he's standing guard by the door or whatever. But Rick and I are sitting on that couch, and I remember I had to piss terribly. I mean, I really needed to go right that second. I had held this way too long, and I was sitting next to him about the time somebody snapped that picture, and I said, "Hey, I'm going to run to the bathroom." He called me Big Dick. Okay. So
at one point he had a show called Big Dick Circus.
True. That's true. So
flexing by Richard Hunter.
So I said, just, hey, I'm gonna run to the bathroom. And he goes, and he was sleeping. That was the other thing too. He had nodded. He's like this, right? Hey, I'm gonna go to the bathroom. And he goes, Big Dick, do not move. He goes, if you move, that girl over there is gonna come sit down, and I know she's got coke on her.
Oh,
wow. And he kind of didn't want it, but he knew it would be done if.
So you have to piss yourself so that he doesn't do cocaine?
That's right. That's what I do for friends, Craig.
God. That is a good friend.
The ever helpful Richard Hunter.
We have to have you on again because there's so many more stories, but there is just one line that I want to end this show with.
And it's not one that we've shared with Rick James.
Yep. It's one.
We still want to do that.
It is one line. Richard has a great story about setting up to interview Paul Stanley in his house for the podcast.
It was
for the podcast.
Has there been a better day in my life?
Yeah.
I don't know.
But
it may be the best day
but the
of my life.
line,
yes, for the podcast.
The line that is amazing is that Richard has to set up so his girlfriend walks in, and the introduction from Paul when he opens the door.
Yes. So we went to Paul's house. We're going to tape the episode in his house.
Yeah. When we have Richard back in, we'll get more into the Paul Stanley story. But it's the introduction when your girlfriend walks in the house that I love.
So Paul buzzes us in himself. You hear him on the intercom. We pull up right to the front door. He opens the front door himself. And of course, it's the big grand, double doors.
Yeah.
And, he opens the doors, and he steps out. He's full Paul.
All right, people.
Yeah. And
Now listen, you're in my house. Let me hear all you crazy maniacs in the kitchen.
Hold on. Do you got rock and roll pneumonia? I need to grab a mask. Wait, I'm unmasked.
Can I get y'all something to drink?
What do you like? Cold gin. Cold gin. Cold gin.
Sorry, we're stepping all over the line. I'm telling you.
That's kind of what we're known for.
Chris, it's the greatest line in the world when Paul Stanley opens the door and says to your girlfriend.
He opens up the big double doors. He steps out. She was the first one up the steps. He reaches out his hand, shakes it, and he says, "Welcome to the house that bad reviews built."
Isn't that the greatest fucking line?
Welcome to the house that bad reviews built. Come on in. Would you like a coffee?
By the way,
I can't hear you.
Paul Stanley, we did a charity event in Detroit last year, and I told the host of the event, Paul Stanley was going to zoom in, and I was actually
on the
the rope like he does at concerts.
Yep.
I'm not
coming to the charity event until you ask for my name. All right, I'm coming to raise some money for the children. Swinging on the rope. No, this charity event that Mitch Albom does every year in Detroit, and they have celebrities zooming in, and there's celebrities that show up, and Paul Stanley zoomed in, and I told the host, I said, hey, just so you know, Paul Stanley is so awesome to me. He loves my impression so much, and I'm actually on his voicemail. He had me do, it was Al Pacino for his voicemail, and I said, but the other thing that's interesting is he hates my impression of him, and so bring on Paul Stanley, and he goes, by the way, Paul, we have somebody here that you know, it's comedian Craig Gass, and he goes, have you heard his Al Pacino? And like, just like clockwork, everything I said, he's like, yeah, he did my voicemail, Al Pacino, blah, 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 and he goes, but ask him to do his impression of me, and I go, hey, everybody, this is Paul Stanley. And Paul goes, you make me sound like I own a hair salon in Long Island. And I go, oh, my God, what a great premise for a joke. Welcome to Paul Stanley's hair salon. Have a seat. I'll give you a blowout. Come on, people. Richard, you have so many stories, but my God, you can actually say hi to Richard by just going to the Haunted Museum right here in Las Vegas. It's Halloween. It's really any time of year, according to Chris Kale. And I would hear Chris promote this for years and just be like, yeah, I don't know if I can handle that one. And then I went and I was like, wow, that was a fascinating, I relate to the idea of, I need to sit down for a second. But it was absolutely fascinating. And we got to follow up with more Rick James stories, more Paul Stanley stories, more Pantera stories. You've got so many great stories inside of you, man. But thank you for joining us.
Yeah,
and where do you want people to find you online?
Oh, if you want to look me up, I'm Richard Hunter on Instagram, and that's probably an easy place to do it. But yeah, come see us at the Haunted Museum, thehauntedmuseum.com. We're open every day but Tuesday. First tour starts at 10 a.m. and we go late. And yeah, find us there. Thanks for having me, and we'll see you very soon here, Chris. And Craig, you come by too. Chris, with any luck, maybe we get one of those surveillance clips of Craig being carted out in the wheelchair, and
those surveillance clips that we're talking about, they show it in the museum. Like you can actually, as you're walking through, they'll go, oh, by the way, the room you're about to walk into, here's video of people passing out from this room, and you can just watch people who just couldn't handle what they were seeing.
Absolutely.
And yeah, it's the Haunted Museum is the real deal. And Chris has been sincere about that for years. Has always been the number one promotion guy for that place.
Let me also just say real quick, this podcast, I do not miss this podcast. It is fantastic. I told both you guys this privately, but if you're listening, you already know. But everybody should know this, because as somebody who worked in radio for as long as I did, and then podcasting and all that, everybody has a podcast.
Yep.
So, and not all of them are good. This one is fantastic. And I remember, but even before I think I met you, Chris, Craig told me that he was doing it with you. And that made sense to me. I knew you guys were going to be good, but man, once I heard it, holy cow. And it's consistent. It is so consistently engaging that I don't miss it. It's one of those, anybody listens to podcasts, you got your feed or whatever, and maybe you have different ones you subscribe to, but there's only so many hours in the day, and maybe there's only a few you get to every week. Never miss it.
There was, in the beginning, it just surprised us how great the response has been to everything. And it also surprised us where we went with it, because the idea was to do exactly what we're doing right now, which is bring in our friends that we know have great stories. But then along the way, it turned into really personal shit, and we life kicked in, and it was like, well, let's talk about it. Let's bring don't tell me about it. Let's talk about it. And heartaches, and it's only been 6 or 7 months, the shit that we've been through that we've brought into the show, and we're already getting. I think right now we're at 9 million views on our Instagram reels, which is insane, and the response has been amazing. And now we're taking it out and trying to get as many shows as we can, before he goes back to his other job of being a rock star, playing on arena and stadium stages around the world.
Yep.
So, but yeah, dude, it's
sitting fourth level at Motley Crue. Roll the tape.
Yeah. Richard came out to one of the shows at Jimmy Kimmel's that we did.
Oh, yeah.
And then Richard and I just hung out and talked for hours afterwards.
I met Richard at a charity event when both of us were doing stand-up for an animal rescue for the first time. Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Well, go see Richard. Go see the Haunted Museum. And ask Richard. He'll be happy to tell you any stories. Again, for some reason, he's just an easygoing guy. I don't know how it happens. There's no drugs, no alcohol. He's just a normal human being who's got some creepy shit at his work.
I'm just the guy who your lawyer is gonna have testify on your behalf as a character witness. That's the only reason anybody wants me around.
And just happens to be someone that Rick James calls Big Dick.
Do you know how incredible you have to be to have Rick James call you Big Dick? Richard Hunter, everybody. Go check him out. And Chris Cale and I are coming to Auckland, Brisbane, Melbourne.
Yep.
And we're going to Anaheim, Green Bay. All the tickets are at getgas.com. Getgas with 2 S's.com. ChrisCale.com. Anything else you want to add to that, Chris?
Roll the tape, I said.
He's a madman. He's a very madman.
You missed the Chris's Pissed episode earlier.
Oh, well, I'll be listening. I'll listen to it when it shows up on my phone.
See you next time. Thank you.